One bad race can ruin a driver's reputation. Whether it's a moment of aggression or a lapse in judgment, even the best drivers let their emotions get the best of them. Let's begin with Kyle Busch. It was a hot summer day in 2011, and the NASCAR Cup Series was in full swing. The race in question was the Truck Series race at Texas Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch was driving in the race and was already having a bad day. He had wrecked his primary car in practice and had to start from the back of the pack in a backup car. Despite his starting position, Busch quickly reached the front of the field. He led the race and seemed to be on his way to a dominant victory. However, a caution flag came out and Busch's fortunes worsened. On the ensuing restart, Busch collided with another driver, Ron Hornaday Jr., and sent him spinning into the wall. Hornaday was a veteran driver running for the championship, and the incident effectively ended his title hopes. The incident sparked outrage from fans, fellow drivers, and NASCAR officials. NASCAR parked Busch for the remainder of the race, and his actions were heavily criticized by everyone involved in the sport. In the aftermath of the incident, Busch apologized for his actions and attempted to make amends with Hornaday. However, the damage had already been done, and Busch's reputation took a significant hit. Next, we have Tony Stewart, a NASCAR driver known for his fiery temper and intense competitiveness on the track. But his image took a turn for the worse in one race that would haunt him for years to come. During the 2014 sprint car race at the Canandaigua Motorsports Park, Stewart was involved in a collision with another driver, Kevin Ward Jr. Ward was furious with Stewart and began to walk toward his car on the track. Ward was hit and killed by the rear right tire as Stewart's car approached. The incident was immediately controversial, and Stewart faced backlash from the media and fans. While he was not charged with any criminal wrongdoing, the tragedy haunted him, and he struggled to understand what had happened. He later retired from NASCAR in 2016, but that day still remains evergreen in his memory. In interviews, he expressed his remorse and his sadness over the tragedy. Let's talk about Carl Edwards next. Carl Edwards was a fan favorite during his time in NASCAR, but he crossed a line that tarnished his image in one race during the 2010 KOBALT Tools 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Edwards was in a heated battle for the lead with Brad Keselowski. On the final lap, Edwards attempted to block Keselowski's pass, causing their cars to make contact and spin out of control. Keselowski's car went airborne and crashed into the wall, while Edwards' car slammed into the infield grass. The controversial incident made him face heavy criticism from fans and fellow drivers for his dangerous driving. In the crash, Keselowski suffered a broken ankle and was forced to sit out several races. Despite Edwards' attempts to downplay the incident and express remorse, his reputation as a reckless driver was cemented in the minds of many NASCAR fans. Next is Robby Gordon, a fan favorite in NASCAR racing turned enemy. He was known for his skill on the track and his down-to-earth personality. However, all that changed in one race. It was the season's final race, and Robby was in contention for the championship. The pressure was on, and he was determined to win at all costs. As the race began, Robby drove aggressively, bumping and pushing other drivers out of his way. Fans were shocked at his behavior, as he had never been known for being reckless on the track before. As the race went on, Robby's driving only got worse. He caused multiple crashes, taking out several of his competitors and causing damage to their cars. Fans were outraged, and many called for him to be disqualified from the race. Despite the controversy, Robby continued to drive aggressively. In the final moments of the race, he made a move that would ultimately ruin his image in the eyes of fans forever. He deliberately spun out a competitor, causing him to crash and lose any chance of winning the championship. The aftermath of the race was brutal for Robby. He received widespread criticism and was fined heavily by NASCAR. His reputation was tarnished, and he could never recover fully from the incident. Denny Hamlin. He was one of the most successful NASCAR drivers of his generation. He had won multiple races and was a perennial contender for the championship, but in one race, he made a huge mistake. Hamlin was behind the wheel of his number 11 Toyota Camry, ready to take on the competition. He had qualified well, and he was in good position to make a run for the win. The race started well for Hamlin. He quickly moved up the field, showing off his skill and speed. But as the laps wore on, things started to go wrong. His car began to develop handling issues, and he struggled to keep up with the leaders. Frustration began to set in for Hamlin. He knew he had the talent to win, but his car wasn't cooperating. And then, on lap 243, everything came to a head. Hamlin was racing hard against the number 18 car of Kyle Busch. Hamlin gave Busch a hard shove from behind as they entered a tight turn, sending him spinning out of control. Busch's car hit the wall hard, causing significant damage and ending his chances of a good finish. The move was blatant and intentional, and it took only a short time for NASCAR officials to notice. Within minutes, Hamlin was summoned to the race control center for a meeting with the officials. The officials informed Hamlin that he had been penalized for his actions. He would be forced to start at the back of the field for the next race. His team would lose 50 championship points, and he was fined $25,000. The punishment was severe, but Hamlin knew he deserved it. He had let his emotions get the best of him, which had cost him dearly. But the worst was yet to come. The move was captured on camera and quickly went viral on social media. Fans and fellow drivers alike were outraged by Hamlin's actions. He had ruined his image in one race, going from respected and talented driver to a villain overnight. The backlash was intense. Hamlin was inundated with negative comments and messages, with fans calling him out for his unsportsmanlike behavior. Even his fellow drivers, who had previously respected him, were now giving him the cold shoulder. Hamlin was devastated. He had worked so hard to get where he was, and now it seemed like it was all for nothing. He knew he had made a mistake, but didn't know how to make things right. Hamlin tried to come to terms with what had happened as the days passed. He issued a public apology, acknowledging that his actions were wrong and he had let down his fans, team, and himself. But the damage had already been done. His reputation was in tatters, and it seemed like there was no coming back from it. Finally, we have Ty Gibbs, the hottest young talent in NASCAR at the time, with a streak of victories in the Xfinity Series and a bright future ahead of him. But he ruined his image and reputation with fans, sponsors, and fellow drivers in one race. It all started at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, one of the most iconic tracks in NASCAR. He had a fast car, a skilled crew, and a team that believed in him. But as soon as he hit the track, things started going wrong. Gibbs was initially aggressive, pushing past other drivers and jockeying for position. He seemed determined to win at all costs, even if it meant wrecking his rivals. And that's exactly what happened. On lap 56, Gibbs made contact with the car of veteran driver David Starr, sending him spinning into the wall. The crowd booed as Gibbs raced away, seemingly unapologetic for his actions, but things only got worse from there. A few laps later, Gibbs got into a heated battle with another driver, Austin Cindric. The two banged doors and rubbed fenders, trading pain as they fought for position. But as they approached turn 3, Gibbs lost control and slammed into Cindric's car, sending it flying into the air. The crowd gasped as Cindric's car flipped over and landed on its roof, skidding along the track and leaving a trail of sparks and smoke. Safety crews rushed to the scene as fans held their breath, hoping that Cindric was okay. Fortunately, Cindric emerged from the wreckage, relatively unscathed, but the damage had been done. Gibbs had crossed the line from aggressive driving to outright dangerous behavior, and the NASCAR community was outraged. Fans took to social media to condemn Gibbs, calling him reckless, irresponsible, and immature. Sponsors and team owners worried his behavior would tarnish their brand and hurt their bottom line. And fellow drivers were furious, knowing that Gibbs had risked their lives with his reckless driving. Gibbs tried to defend himself, claiming that he was racing hard and that accidents happen in NASCAR, but his excuses fell on deaf ears. He was banned from the next race and fined heavily by NASCAR, sending a clear message that his behavior would not be tolerated. Let us know any other driver stories we missed in the comments section.